If you have any questions, type it below. I guess everyone can hear me. If somebody would type in there, yes, I can hear you. We also are working on merch. So we're working on coffee mugs for sure. And some of you requested other things like hats, shirts, t-shirts, sweatshirts. So we will work on all that, and I will keep you updated. And I'm just making sure, yep, everybody can hear me. Yes, okay, great. All right, so we have a winter weather event coming. Unfortunately, for those who want snow, this is not going to be a snow event. Once again, we've got a wintry mix. We did have snow from the last system. Very difficult forecast on the last one, but we got within about 10 miles with the forecast, so not bad. Some places I had about an inch, almost an inch here at the Weather Observatory. Meanwhile, about 5 to 10 miles up the road, about 10 minutes up the road, they had over 4 inches of snow in Polk County, in Johnson County, in Polk County. So not far from here, very tight gradient of snow with the last system. We're not going to be dealing with this one. This one's more of a freezing drizzle, sleet event with maybe some snow. I wanted to talk about how warm it's been in January. This is just amazing. So we're right now at the number 2 warmest January on record. It's going to cool down tonight, tomorrow into the 31st. So that may knock us down a little bit, but look at this chart. All of the orange colors are days that were above average in the temperature department. The dark red colored ones on the right means we were 10 or more degrees above average. That's just incredible. Some of the days were 20 plus degrees above average. Multiple days like that. The blue days were below average temperatures. So we'll probably add another day or two to that. The 30th and 31st are likely to be below average temperature days. But all those other days were above average. Isn't that just amazing? We had 3 severe weather events in January. Looking ahead to February, we may have some more warm weather. We're probably going to have a bit of a roller coaster in February, a little more of a roller coaster than January was. And that may mean volatile weather. We're certainly in a weather pattern that is very active. We're having storm chances or storm systems, meaning rain, snow, sleet, ice, thunderstorms, whatever they bring. We're having storm systems move through about every 2 or 3 days. It's a very fast jet stream flow, and that's going to continue into the foreseeable future. So we have many systems to track. We'll see if some of those end up being snowstorms. We've got about maybe 6 more weeks of what I would call winter, because once we get to the middle of March onward, it's pretty much over. We can still have snow at the end of March, but it warms up within a day or two. So you've got 4 or 5 solid weeks of winter left, and then we're headed into spring. So 4, 5, 6 more weeks. Something's got to happen here, okay? All right, so let's talk about, we do have a YouTube channel. It's at Bo Dotson YouTube. Go there and you can hit the little follow button, and when I make videos each day, you'll get a notification. The bottom line for this event, it's a light freezing rain, sleet, and maybe a little snow, but mainly a light freezing rain and sleet event. The impacts will be icy surfaces. So there's a high risk of falling in a situation like this. Every time we have a glaze of ice, we end up having an increased number of people at the ER. What happens is you step out tomorrow morning in some areas, and maybe the pavement looks wet, maybe the sidewalk looks wet, but actually it's pure ice that you can see straight through. Sleet, at least we know it's slick. Snow, at least you know when you step on it, it's slick. Freezing rain and glade can be very deceptive. And a lot of people, I've had many, many friends with injuries, some serious injuries, because they step out on that step, and that first step can be a doozy. So let's not let that be you. We do not want you to end up in the ER. Trust me on this one. Be careful on that first step tomorrow morning, into Tuesday morning, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. If it looks wet and it's cold outside, it could be a glaze of ice. So make sure that you are careful. Let's see. Yeah, hip fracture season. I am looking at the graphics and trying to see if the graphics are changing on the screen, but all I see is the intro graphic. There we go. Okay, it's just a delay. All right, so moving on. Be careful. Don't be the person that ends up in the ER, please. Know your sources for winter weather. I tell you this every time. Be careful about. There have been posts floating around that say catastrophic ice storm coming. Worse than 2009. I've seen it all. Don't share those posts, okay? Because they're just not good for anybody. And it scares people because 2009 was very traumatic for our region, and this is not a 2009 ice storm at all. This is a very low-end ice event, but low-end ice events can still cause a lot of problems, especially with travel. Don't forget, we have special radars for you on the Weather Talk app under the radar section, but also if you go to Weather Observatory, this was my original website from years ago, but go to weatherobservatory.com and click interactive radars. And from there, it will take you here. These here, the interactive city ones, the local city ones, have a winter button on them. If you click the radar, look here, and see where it says winterize, click that and you can see the very light freezing drizzle and sleet when it shows up. This winter button makes it pick up very light returns, which a lot of times during the winter, the returns are very, very light. So let's talk about how much ice we're looking at. We're looking at freezing drizzle tonight. If you walk outside right now here at the Weather Observatory, it's about 36 degrees and it's foggy and it's misty. When the temperature falls below zero, where the temperature falls below zero Celsius, where the temperature falls below 32, you could have freezing drizzle tonight. There's a bit of a battle on where to place that 32 degree line. If you live in Marion, Carbondale, Cape Girardeau, you're going below freezing. If you live in Poplar Bluff, you're going below freezing tonight. If you live in Metropolis, in Ballard County, in Livingston County, up to Davies County, Paducah, McCracken County, back into New Madrid County, there's that line, similar to the last event, there's that line where we're going to hover between 30, 31, 32, 33, and 34, somewhere about 2 degrees around freezing, okay? So there's a little uncertainty about ice, which brings me back to my other point. When you step outside in the morning or late tonight, if it looks wet, make sure it's not ice, okay? Because it could be. Hopefully, the freezing line stays a little north. And maybe some of these counties in the winter weather advisories I'm going to show you won't have ice with this first event. But we have multiple events. When we add in the other events, the ice totals increase a little bit. Not a lot, a little bit. This takes us through midnight on Tuesday night. Some more falls after that. And we'll talk about that in a minute. What is the difference between freezing rain and sleet? A lot of people get confused by this. Freezing rain is literally rain that falls and then freezes on contact and turns into ice, like an ice cube kind of ice, like you can see through it. It hangs onto branches, it hangs onto wires. That's what causes damage. Sleet bounces. You could have 10 inches of sleet and it wouldn't bring down a single power line, it wouldn't bring down a single tree limb. It bounces off everything onto the ground. It causes extremely slick roadways, but it's not the same as freezing rain. So that's the difference. You've got sleet, looks like little tiny pieces of ice. You've got snow, of course, you know what that is. And this is freezing rain. See how you can see through the ice? That's freezing rain. Remember, always remember, bridges and overpasses freeze first because the cold air goes under and above it and it causes the temperature to drop. And so your overpasses and bridges will freeze first. So be careful on overpasses and bridges. Even if the roads are fine, you can suddenly come onto a bridge or an overpass and you can't tell the difference. Here's an example. This is pure ice on this bridge, and look at what it looks like in front of the bridge. There's literally no difference there. So you want to be careful on bridges, overpasses. The same applies to decks, porches, sidewalks, your steps. All of those freeze first. This is what freezing rain looks like when it's on the roads, a glaze. And cars aren't really made to go on ice. They can go on sleet and snow to some degree, but pure freezing rain and tires do not go together. Whether you have an SUV, whether you have a Hummer, no matter what you have, ice is ice and tires don't like ice. Give the road crews plenty of room. There's always accidents with these with the transportation cabinet, transportation departments, they're having to work out there and people get too close and accidents occur. Let's take a look at temperatures tonight. So we're going to look here at about 11 o'clock tonight. Let me pop up what temperatures are like right now. Let's look at temperatures right now. So I'm going to stop this animation, and it's about 7:15 in the evening p.m. And you can see 30 in Carbondale, 31, Marion 32. But pop down here to Paducah and Metropolis, 35 in Metropolis, 37 in Paducah. You've got 41 in Murray, 41 in Northwest Tennessee, 37 in the Boot Hill, 34 Poplar Bluff, 33 in Cape Girardeau. These blue colors up here, those are 20s. Now, this is also radar. You see snow developing over here west of St. Louis, maybe some freezing drizzle. There could be freezing drizzle in here, and it's not showing up on radar because it's so fine. Just go outside and look at the atmosphere. It's very moist outside. It's kind of foggy, and there's just a hint of precipitation in the air. That is going to be the problem. So we look at 11 o'clock tonight, and it has the freezing line running from about Poplar Bluff towards Anna, Illinois, and then towards Marion, where it's already freezing. And then as we move through the night, watch that push south and east. This is at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, 30 in Cape Girardeau, 30 in Carbondale, solidly in the cold air back here. And that is where bridges and overpasses and side roads and sidewalks are going to have ice on them. We'll just have to see where this blue shifts tonight. And as we move through tomorrow, watch what happens. Temperatures actually fall. This is 3 o'clock Monday afternoon. 30 in Evansville, 31 in Paducah. The blue line shifted south and east. So cold air is going to continue to filter into the region. That sets the stage for another winter weather event tomorrow night. What's the difference between snow, sleet, freezing rain, and rain as far as why do we have the different types of precip? Snow is when it's 32 degrees from the cloud all the way down to the surface. Normally, about 90% of the time, that means snow all the way down. Once a snowflake melts, once a snowflake dies, it can't come back as a snowflake. It's gone. So here, there's a thin, warm layer of air aloft. Sometimes we have warm air aloft and cold at the surface. When that happens, southerly winds are bringing warm air up and over the cold air. The snowflakes fall, melt, and then a couple of things can happen. One is if the cold layer is deep enough, it turns to ice, which is, what did I tell you earlier? Sleet. Freezing rain is when the warm air is deeper and it doesn't have time to refreeze as an ice pellet, but it's freezing at the surface. That's freezing rain. What if it's warm all the way down? Obviously, just plain rain. So the depth of the warm layer is what decides what type of precipitation usually falls. There are circumstances where you can be freezing all the way from top to bottom of the atmosphere and it still fall as freezing rain, but we won't talk about that today. Normally, this is the scenario. So let's take a look at the probabilities. This is just for tonight. This does not include the other events. Mostly southeast Missouri and southern Illinois, about an 80% chance of a trace to maybe up to 0.05 hundredths of an inch of rain. Freezing, freezing drizzle, maybe a little sleet, not much, mostly freezing drizzle. So you won't really be able to measure this much, but it only takes a light glaze, to cause problems. The National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory for almost all of southeast Missouri. The Memphis National Weather Service left off Dunklin and Pemiscot counties, none of northwest Tennessee, and then portions, all of southern Illinois is under winter weather advisory for freezing drizzle tonight, and then portions of western Kentucky, and that runs from far west Kentucky into Ballard, Paducah, up to Livingston, and then up here towards Henderson County, this area through here, and parts of southwest Indiana as well. This is their forecasted amounts on the right. You can see 0.07, 0.06, 0.05, so not a lot. But again, just enough to cause glazes on certain roadways, secondary roadways, bridges, overpasses. So the hazards tonight, the key message with the freezing drizzle, safety tips is drive slow. If you don't have to drive, don't. You don't want to get out on the freezing rain and be out there trying to navigate this. You don't want to step out on it. Obviously, we talked about the slippery conditions, sidewalks, parking lots, they're slick. We're certain about tonight it's going to happen. It's just a matter of exactly where that 32 line. A second winter weather event impacts us Monday night. I expect another winter weather advisory to be issued by the Paducah, Kentucky National Weather Service, by the Memphis, Tennessee National Weather Service, for at least the southern half of the region, if not most of the area, Monday night into Tuesday morning. And that will be for, again, small amounts of freezing rain, trace amounts up to maybe 1/10 of an inch at the most, and that's going to have the same impacts. Icy roadways, but this time it's going to be even colder. We'll be in the 20s. So what does fall will stay on main roadways, secondary roadways, bridges, overpasses, and surfaces. All of it could be slick and hazardous. This is where the National Weather Service has painted an elevated concern for tonight. Okay, in the orange, as I mentioned, confidence is higher. As you get into this yellow zone, we're not as confident, but it could drop to 32 degrees and there could be some icy surfaces. The orange area has a higher chance of icy surfaces tonight into tomorrow morning. The yellow zone has a chance, but maybe not as great a chance. Then as we move into tomorrow night, you see the orange zone shifts to our southern counties, central and southern counties, and the yellow zone is where ice is still possible. The orange zone is likely. I think that this probably will be shaded in a bit more orange as well. We'll see what happens. And then we have another chance of sleet on Monday night as well, and they painted in, this one's for sleet, the other one was freezing rain. They painted in sleet here, and so we may have some sleet to deal with as well. And then let's look at Wednesday and Wednesday night. So that's another event, Wednesday night, Tuesday, and getting confused here. So Tuesday and Tuesday night as well. I skipped that one, sorry. Tuesday and Tuesday night, the orange zone has the greatest risk of additional freezing rain and drizzle. The yellow zone has some risk. So let me go back here. We've got tonight, we've got tomorrow night, Monday night, another event. Then we've got Monday night with sleet. Then we've got Tuesday and Tuesday night, mainly Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday night, with another chance of frozen precipitation. Then finally, we have Wednesday and Wednesday night we're going to have to watch. Now this one is painted more across our central counties and probably northern counties. We're not sure, but this system here, the high pressure system, may be so strong that it shunts this one all the way southward and it misses us. We're looking at that. But for now, the Weather Service has painted this zone as an area of concern Wednesday and Wednesday night. We'll keep an eye on that. Let's get through the first two first. Let's look at the Memphis, Tennessee National Weather Service freezing rain chances here. What they're thinking, again, 0.05 to 1/10 of an inch, and 1/10 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch south of my forecast counties. As you move towards Jackson, Tennessee, into the north of Memphis, they've got 1/10 of an inch to maybe 1/4 of an inch. For reference, 2009, a lot of our damage occurred between 1/2 inch of ice and 1 inch of ice, and then we had another inch of ice from the second wave of precipitation. So 1 to 2 inches of pure freezing rain from 2009. That caused devastating impacts. This one is nothing like that, not even close. That was 1 inch or 2 of pure freezing rain. This is barely enough to measure this time around. This is what this event should look like. Maybe a little higher in the Boot Hill, along the Kentucky-Tennessee border southward, before it's all said and done, maybe a little higher. But this is what 0.05 up to 1/10 of an inch of rain, freezing rain, frozen on objects looks like. Not much, just enough to cause travel impacts, just enough to cause headaches when it comes to stepping outside and stepping on ice. This was a graphic the Weather Service made earlier this morning. Since then, they did add in Paducah into the yellow, and maybe Owensboro. Murray, no, tonight you're going to stay all rain. Hopkinsville, you're going to stay all rain. We'll watch Henderson maybe, but we're looking at Carbondale from now onward. They're already below freezing. So areas that are already below freezing, like Marion, Illinois, you're below freezing now. You should be in the pink zone by now, 6 o'clock. So we scooted that up a little bit. And then 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Then a lull tomorrow, and then watch tomorrow night from 6 p.m. all the way into Tuesday late morning. Most of the areas in pink or wintry mix, and pink is freezing rain, orange is wintry mix. So your concern Monday night is about 5 or 6 p.m. onward. If you have travel activities, I strongly recommend you not to travel Monday night into Tuesday morning if we have freezing rain or freezing drizzle going on. Very difficult to drive on. So let's plan on not driving. Let's plan on schools being out. Scattered school closings tomorrow morning. Numerous school closings Tuesday morning. Some school closures are possible Wednesday as well, perhaps numerous school closings. So for planning purposes for the kids, let's plan on them not being in school. Most likely Tuesday and Wednesday are the days there would be school closings. Thursday, again, the Wednesday night and Thursday event is questionable and it should warm up. So we're hoping that this will all be over by then and we don't have to worry about it. We'll keep it, let's focus on these first three events, tonight, tomorrow night, and Tuesday night, and planning for those. Let's see here. Okay, that is the last graphic on that. Let me show you a couple of models. Also, I sent that bulletin out a while ago. Don't forget to subscribe to Weather Talk at weathertalk.com. Once you get in there, you can pick and choose the products you want. Make sure you first subscribe at weathertalk.com, then download the Bodotson Weather app. In the App Store, it's under Weather Talk. But first, you have to fill out all your information on the weathertalk.com website, then download the app, and you can receive all of my daily videos, the blog, the long-range videos, severe weather alerts, tornado bulletins, ice storm bulletins, so much information, weather information flows out of here. Let's take a look at some models. I did want to show you the HRRR model. It's coming in right now. The evening run is coming in. Let's go to the loop of that, and we're out to about 22 hours now. And this is the freezing rain accumulation tonight, and we can watch as the freezing rain spreads across the region. Now, why does it stop right here? Because areas over here, this model has them above freezing. Notice how that lines up quite well with the National Weather Service's winter weather advisory. Now, it has a little more in the boot heel. If the Memphis Weather Service sees that could happen, they'll issue a winter weather advisory for some of their counties. But for now, it looks like Poplar Bluff and then up towards Cairo, and then northeast from there. And then we'll watch that southern row of counties for some impacts as well. We look at the radar. Let's switch over to radar. Right there. We'll let that load. And what we'll watch is this very hints. Notice how this is widespread down here ahead of the cold front. Very patchy, light drizzle, light rain, some snow flurries mixed in, all sorts of just patchy precipitation in the region over the next really 6 to 12 hours. So we watch that as we move through tonight, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Now, some of that may continue into tomorrow morning. If it does, the Weather Service may have to extend the advisory, but we'll see. It should be winding down and then a lull. And then we move into tomorrow night and watch what happens. This is 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock, more freezing rain. So I expect another winter weather advisory. I don't think it'll be a winter storm warning, but we'll see what the Weather Service does. I think it'll be a winter weather advisory for the area tomorrow night, because here comes freezing rain. That's pure freezing rain right there. And we'll switch over to the NAM model. These are high resolution models. They don't do too bad in conditions like this. And it goes out a little farther as it's still coming in. We see tonight's patchy drizzle, patchy snow, sleet and freezing rain. And then there's tomorrow night with sleet, freezing rain, maybe even a little snow. It's kind of a quick mover, but it does stick around most of the night into Tuesday morning, and that will cause additional school closings and other problems. And there goes the next system. We'll just have to see. There are questions about the Tuesday night and Wednesday system. How far north will it be? Some of the data shows both those last two events missing us. Tonight's event will not miss us. Tomorrow night's event will not miss us. What will happen beyond that? Does the Tuesday night and Wednesday night event miss us? I can't rule that out. That is a possibility. The high pressure to our north is very strong, and it's shunting everything southward. That's where our cold air is coming from. And so as it does that, it also shunts the rain and the system farther south. And if it goes too far south, then it misses us. We can turn on the temperatures here. This is the live view of the radar. And notice how cold it is back here in the teens and single digits in Missouri. And then in the boot heel, it's 38, 39 degrees it's warmer, but it's definitely a lot of cold air coming in. Let me take a look at your questions and try to answer some of them. And I see we have plenty of spam already, so great. We're getting a lot of spam lately, and it's not showing me all the questions, so let me switch over here and see if I can pull up all your questions real quick. If you live in Murray tonight or Hopkinsville, I don't think you have as many concerns with tonight's event, but tomorrow night's event you will. That's when we're going to see a lot more in the way of frozen precipitation across literally the southern half of our region tomorrow night. Tomorrow night to me is a more impactful event, although I don't like to compare events, because it's going to be very slick tonight in some areas, and slick is slick whether you have a little bit of snow or a little bit of ice or a little bit of sleet. Tomorrow you're thinking by 4 p.m. Paducah? Yes. Tomorrow afternoon, Monday afternoon, if you live in southeast Missouri, extreme southwest Illinois, Cairo, Anna, to extreme western Kentucky and northwest Tennessee, you should be prepared for another round of frozen precipitation tomorrow afternoon. Not exactly sure what time it moves in, but it could be anywhere from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock. I would not recommend you being out and about. I don't, if the roads are cold, whatever falls is going to cause problems on side roads, bridges, overpasses, surfaces, and the like. So try to wrap everything up if you can and get home. 5 p.m. Callaway County, Tracy, yeah, I think that's possible. Tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, freezing rain moves in. Henderson, Kentucky, you're on the borderline tonight with freezing rain and freezing drizzle, light amounts, but I think that you should be careful tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow afternoon, yours won't move in until a little bit later in the evening. Hamilton County tonight, freezing fog, freezing drizzle likely. Harrisburg tonight, freezing rain, freezing drizzle, very light amounts. Same for West Frankfort, very light freezing drizzle and freezing rain tonight. You won't be able to really measure it much, but it's just enough to cause a glaze on bridges, decks, surfaces. So all of southern Illinois tonight could see some freezing drizzle and freezing rain. Most of southeast Missouri, except for perhaps the Boot Hill, but we'll have to watch that. A little bit of light freezing sleet tonight, or freezing rain, freezing drizzle, maybe a little sleet as well, causing icy bridges, icy overpasses, decks, sidewalks. Very concerned about people falling. What looks wet could be ice, pure ice, glaze, what we call a glaze. Tonight and tomorrow morning. So tonight, from now onward, if your temperatures are already below freezing, don't step out on those sidewalks, decks, and porches. You could fall. Make sure they're not ice. I think the school districts, I don't know about school districts tomorrow. I think there will be scattered school closings in at least Missouri and Illinois. I think there will be widespread school closings Tuesday and perhaps Wednesday. So if you need babysitters or you have kids, and you need to make plans, plan on school closings, scattered ones tomorrow, numerous school closings Tuesday morning, Tuesday, and perhaps even Wednesday. Monday afternoon with schools let out, Kevin, it depends on where. Areas that are already iced over tonight may stay iced over tomorrow because temperatures won't rebound much. We're looking at 30s tomorrow. And so if freezing rain and sleet and moves back in tomorrow afternoon while school is going on, that's a big concern. So school districts need to be very aware. As I say, weather aware. Make sure you're watching the 12 p.m. Channel 3, 6, 12, and other local TV stations. That's my core area. And radio stations like Le Jeton and others. And make sure that you're in tune with what I'm saying and others are saying as precip moves in tomorrow. We'll be on top of it. But if it looks like it's coming in earlier, then you need to get those school kids home before the frozen precipitation arrives.